Time for our tech slot this week, which means the arrival of Mr. Wayne Brown, our tech man extraordinaire. Good to see you, Wayne.
Good to see you, Ollie.
Well, Wayners. Now, we had a bit of news yesterday from California, and this was from Apple. They're finally killing iTunes. Let's start by asking you when iTunes started 18 years ago.
Yeah, well, first of all, nobody's really mourning the fact that it's going.
Do you know what? We're only talking about it on air, well, off air this morning. I have an iTunes account, as a lot of people do, and I haven't used it since I don't know when.
Yeah, well, it started 18 years ago. Basically, it started as an interface to control your iPod, plain and simple. Way back then, all you could do was load up your CDs through iTunes. Then it became the iTunes Music Store, where you could buy your music. Then it became podcasts incorporated into it. Then it started bringing in TV, movies, and by the end of it, it wasn't doing any of it particularly well.
Right.
So they did move with the times.
They tried to move with the times, but if you look at the state of the iTunes app now, and it is the state, it's a throwback to the early 80s when computers were boring. They were black and white, and it looks so dated and so un-Apple-like.
And clunky.
Oh, it's terrible.
It really hasn't changed.
I mean, if you plug in your iPhone or your iPad now to it, or whatever device you plug into it, it takes an age to even detect it, and the sub-menus and icons and...
You look at other alternatives too now, like Spotify, which are on the scene, which has obviously changed how people...
Yeah, well, I mean, Spotify is a completely different thing.
It is, yeah.
To be fair.
Yeah.
I mean, it has one purpose in life, and that's play music, stream music, that's it.
Yeah.
iTunes tried to be everything to everybody, and some would say failed. I mean, even the App Store for a time went through iTunes as well.
Yeah.
So I don't think anyone is too sad to hear. Like, there's been rumours for a couple of years that they were moving towards... having the 3 individual apps, and it was no surprise yesterday finally when, the VP of software, Craig Federighi, came out and basically said everyone wants iTunes to do everything and we can't do that anymore. So basically...
So they announced 3 new kind of suites, really.
They announced 3 things, but here's the thing. Apple are masters at regurgitating things.
Yeah.
And they often say they may not be the first to do something, but they do it right when they do get to it. The Apple Music app has been around since, I think it's June 2015. And the podcast app has been around for literally a decade at this stage. And the Apple TV app, which we talked about a few weeks back, that was released last month. So none of this is new. But what is new is instead of pretending now that everything has to go through this one centralised app, they are now going to designate it to 3 different sections, and the 3 different sections are going to do a specific thing and do it really well.
So 3 different offerings, essentially.
3 different offerings. So now you can get all your music and everything at one place, all your TV and everything at another place, and all your podcasts at another place.
Some questions people with Apple are going to ask. What happens to their existing software? Do they have to do anything to their phones to upgrade this? Will this just appear?
It will. The new iOS, the new operating system, is out in September, October. They say autumn. It's probably late September as the usual. And basically, when you install that, all of these new apps will clunk down with it and they'll appear on your phone. Your logins will be the same. So if you have a load of movies through iTunes, you can log into this TV app. They'll all be there. You can log into your music app. All your music is still there and all your podcasts are still there. So it will be across the board.
The same, only different.
The same, only different, yeah.
I'm liking the sound of this new iPad app. It's called Sidecar.
The Sidecar is brilliant.
Tell us about that now.
That was one thing that they announced. It's, for ages, people have been saying, why aren't Macs touch screen like the PCs are?
Yeah.
And they've resisted this the whole time. And now they've announced that the iPad is going to be a secondary screen for your Mac, and you can do touch operations on the iPad. So for anyone who's doing photo editing, music editing, video editing, you can now touch the screen, and you have your editing screen in front of you, and you have your mixing screen.
Why did it take so long, people would say?
Well, there's been third-party alternatives for years. Duet being one of them, one of the more prominent ones, was actually invented by an ex-Apple engineer to solve a problem. And Apple, as usual, just decided, we've enough of everyone else doing it now, we're going to do it right, and blew them aside. One thing they did announce that I think is really clever and really useful. Have you tried logging into any apps or services and they say log in with Facebook?
Yes.
And straight away they have all of your details.
Really annoys me.
Yeah. Well, now there's log in with Apple, and Apple will generate a random email address, share none of your details whatsoever, but will verify that it's you. So you can actually log in anonymously through Apple now to all these services.
And it doesn't mean Facebook is gleaning all your information.
None of your information
Good
whatsoever.
idea.
Yeah.
The Apple Watch was also announced that it's getting a little app store. This is cute.
Little app store on your wrist, yeah. Well, I suppose make money
Sounds like
wherever
a
you can.
Specsavers ad, but nonetheless.
Look, they're going to be very different in terms of the apps on your Apple Watch. They're tiny little screens, so the App Store is going to be a tiny little screen as well. But what's really good about it is if you find something you like, you can just literally click buy on your wrist, and again, it's like they're being clever. They're basically getting money wherever they can by enabling everything wherever they can.
They're also very clever in how they announce things. Like it's all they must have some marketing team because like you said, they actually announce the rollout of stuff that exists already.
Basically,
but every time Apple has any kind of an announcement, it's a world event. I mean, we're talking about it on the other side of the world.
Oh, absolutely, yeah. And they had like hundreds and thousands of journalists there with all their screens, and every single word they were whooping and hollering, and you'd swear to God it was the second coming or something. The way they were going on, but that's been the way since Steve Jobs. He really recreated the whole keynote address, and since then Microsoft and Samsung and everyone copies the Apple format now.
Absolutely.
It's been showbiz.
It is showbiz, yeah.
And I think they probably know as well that it's becoming more and more competitive all the time. So they need to stay as relevant as they possibly can.
They do. They absolutely do. But these new offerings now with these 3 apps, we've had them on our phones for God knows how long. They're going to be now on the Apple desktops as well.
Sure.
So that's good. But the important thing is iTunes, they're killing it. But it isn't really going anywhere because you can still link to iTunes in the background.
It's just getting specialist.
It's just basically putting a nice front end now onto making it easier for people to find stuff.
Wayne, thanks a million.
A pleasure as always.